I believe that if the region, the Middle East, had the piece of the global pie, that the strife and the difficulties we're seeing would, quite frankly, diminish or vanish. And so we were looking for a way of creating stable societies and building the economy. So I brought on board some people that were a lot smarter than me in this area, an advisory board, and we hired the Brookings Institution and brought Martin Indyk into it. And what we learned was that basically the education in the region did not meet the needs of the labor market. And so, for instance, if you are a college grad in any one of the countries they operate in, the odds of you being unemployed are virtually doubled. And if you get a graduate degree, you clearly have diminished your opportunity. So you go to school, you have higher expectation, and at the end of the day, you have lower opportunity. And so we decided to do two things that I think were different. One is we built local foundations. So all the foundations, everything that you saw in the video is local. You don't see us. You see a local chairman who's a leading businesswoman or man. You see a local board. You see local staff. And they figure out where the jobs are and what needs to be done. And so we also only train when we believe there are jobs at the end. So we don't, what goes on in the region is people get training and training, they have training fatigue, but they don't get the cheese, they do not get the job. We shoot for 85% of our graduates getting gainful employment. Last and not least, we also believe that training in women has much more social impact than training men. And so we put a big push on making most of our enrollees and graduates female. We give them preference. Sometimes that works well, sometimes it works less well. I think that statistically, 70% of our graduates in Morocco, in Tunisia are women, where it's only 38% in Yemen. But quite frankly, that's probably the highest number that anybody's ever achieved in Yemen because there are very few women in the workplace. And so our goal is pretty straightforward. We believe that by training thousands and getting them employed, we not only can help the individuals, but we also can hopefully create a tipping point whereby the educational institutions that exist that are not functioning well are no longer accept their lack of creativity and employability of the graduates. And so we are beginning to see in some of the countries where we are being brought in on a much larger scale to help governments and training centers and universities whose placement record is quite frankly poor do a better job. And we hope this tipping point will result in a much more robust institution that actually gets its youth into the labor market, which I believe personally will be a major factor towards creating global peace.